From the Kaiser Permanente studios here in Atlanta, we ain't messing around. It's SDHAM. John here, you there. We're 5 minutes early because we needed the extra 5 minutes. Opening kickoff goes to this person. Saw the white smoke over Two Penn Plaza yesterday afternoon, and it means that MLS has a new commissioner who is being unveiled at noon. Margaret Fleming from Front Office Sports, without her coffee, is with us batting leadoff. How are you holding up, by the way?
We're making it happen. Last week was insane, and things just aren't slowing down. So we're just rolling.
All right. So we all kind of got the word that with everyone meeting in ivory towers and glass doors enclosed and all this kind of stuff, that this was probably going to happen yesterday. It did. Larry Berg was one of two names that was mentioned off the top as one of the contenders. It is now Larry Berg. He has broken the tape first. He is now going to be the new commissioner. And it's an interesting time for Major League Soccer on a bunch of different fronts to introduce a new commissioner.
Absolutely. I mean, he's going to come in January 1st, right before his first season will be the sprint season, and in the spring. And then he will oversee the first fall to spring season. He will be in charge of the next media deal, whatever that ends up being. He's stepping in at a really pivotal time for this league, and I think it'll be interesting to see where he takes it. He's obviously been around the league for quite some time, and there's a lot of trust and faith in him, and he's a business guy and comes from that business background. They chose him over the other contender was a former Fox executive, so I guess that shows that media is important to the next phase, but wasn't the penultimate, the most important thing. So yeah, I mean, we'll see how he does, but first commissioner, first new commissioner since '99, which is wild.
It is crazy to think about when it comes to what Don Garber has done. I'm not going to ask you the Don Garber legacy question until after we talk about MLS Cup, because it's like, you're kicking dirt on the guy. Well, he's not done. We're not doing that yet. When you look at these crossroads, this is an intersection of a bunch of different things and stoplights and arrows. You mentioned the media deal.
Mm-hmm.
And how that was brought to the table earlier. I think it's 29, I think, is when it ends instead of 32.
Yes, sir. That's it.
And so you wonder what direction they'll go after that or with that. Larry Berg will be a part of this. And also he comes from the private equity element of it all. And we know what private equity means and what private equity wants. They want return on investment. Otherwise, they're not going to be happy about things. And I think, a little bit more than half of the franchises right now have ties to private equity. Where do you see the private equity element, the business element of that attached to this future of MLS, whatever 0.0 you want to call it?
It's interesting because we just spent the last week talking about getting private equity out of soccer, and now we're like choosing a private equity executive to lead MLS. I mean, it makes sense. It's a completely different thing for private equity at the governing body level versus the private level. Like you said, I think it's 16 teams that have some kind of tie to PE. So, yeah, I mean, I think to me, this kind of signals that MLS is trying to take a step forward in the business world. I think a comparison that I'm drawing in my head is like the WNBA bringing in Kathy Engelbert, and like she has had plenty of criticism, like much deserved over her time, but she came from that consulting business background with Deloitte, and then has just like really, she calls it, I think, like hyper growth, like really launched into this business phase over the last few years of her tenure. And so I feel like I'm kind of seeing like similar kind of echoes of that. We said, I think the media deal will probably be the biggest test for what he's able to do. And I think there's a number of ways that they could do it and it could be successful, but I think it's a huge opportunity and going to be a massive part of whether or not his first, few years or his tenure, I don't know how long, if he's planning on sticking around 30 years or whatever, but just to kind of, it'll be a big litmus test of how he's doing, is how that media deal comes together.
Yeah, and as a part of the alphabet soup that you mentioned when it comes to, okay, so you said PE, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you have PAR, which is HSH, which is also PE, in MLS NEXT PRO, and NYCFC II might be heading in that direction. So I was trying to figure out how to do it without any kind of caffeine. But in English, Colbert Kravis Roberts, just KKR, because of you don't want to get locked into the whole Kentucky Fried Chicken KFC thing.
Right.
Hometown Soccer Holdings, MLS Next Pro, NYCFC2. It was announced, I think, yesterday that they might be heading in that direction. They might be separating from the flock and all this kind of stuff. So you'll have that private equity attachment to it. But I think also, and you mentioned revenue with the WNBA, you're going to be seeing that now with Major League Soccer, because you're going to want to take that next step when it comes to all of roster space, adding designated players, probably working the salary cap to have a different floor and a ceiling. And so you've got to figure out how to bring in all of this talent that you want to navigate with, all these big names that you anticipate bringing in, but you've got to do it in a different salaried structure. And when you're changing over from where you currently are to the rest of the soccer schedule worldwide, I mean, that's another interesting thing that you've got to tackle here.
Oh, 100%. Like, when you think about within the first calendar year, MLS is going to be on the fall to spring, and the thought of what that opens up talent-wise. Can MLS in its current structure get the players it wants to get? And I'm not even talking just like salary. In single entity structure, are they able to do that? In the current way that you can have designated players and like get those kind of salaries, is that enough to have this small number, or will they need to open that wider? There's a lot of questions of, like, if you want to be one of the top contenders in the world, like, you gotta kind of make some business decisions that allow you to be there. I think a lot of sports leagues are turning to private equity right now, and I think there's pros and cons to that. Of course, there's things you worry about, and like you said, they want a return on investment. Somebody told me last week, an expert, corporate governance expert that I was talking to about the FIFA stuff, they were like private equity is about making profit, and that's not always the goal with soccer entities. With FIFA, whole other question. But you think about MLS, it's like, okay, are they trying to just make money? Are they trying to be the most, compete right up there with the European leagues? Are they trying to be able to pay players up there? There's a lot of questions, and obviously so much of it ties back to the media deal, because the media deal is able to fund a lot of different operations and rosters and all the things. So yeah, I think it's going to be it's like if we're here, it's like, is this just going to go skyrocketing up right now in the next 5-10 years, or is it just going to kind of keep slowly climbing? And either way, growth is growth. You hope it doesn't go down, but I think there's opportunity here to really take things off if Larry Berg plays his cards right.
Well, and you mentioned the growth curve. I think it's safe to say that the top 4 leagues worldwide, you can pretty much lock them in. But I think for Major League Soccer 10 to 12, depending on who you look at, I think having the number 5 or number 6 league in the world is attainable because of the talent that you're bringing in, level of competition, evenness across the board. But it does present an interesting challenge, because the single entity structure is what got them to this point. And now you have this idea of private equity folks wanting to dive in and challenge the economics of success and then bring in more money. It seems like these are chainsaws here that it's an interesting juggle and trying to figure out, okay, we can really be a top 5 league, but we got to figure out how to do it, but not go outside of ourselves, if that makes any sense.
To make another women's basketball comparison, because I can never stop talking about women's basketball, it reminds me of how the W is primarily owned by the NBA. Mm-hmm. And so that has really accelerated its growth in a lot of ways and gotten it to where it is. And at the same time, the players can't get half the revenue, just like, you can in other major leagues, because half the revenue is going to the NBA. And then they got to split it from the W from there. So it's it's the same kind of thing of this has allowed us to get to this point. But at what point are we outgrowing our own business model? I don't know if MLS is there yet. I mean, I was reading articles yesterday that were saying why MLS should scrap the single entity model from, long before now. So this has obviously been a topic for a while, and I think it would definitely like ruffle some feathers if Larry Berg comes in and just changes that all around. But yeah, I mean, I think there's like a lot of questions about the business of this league and how it operates, and what it needs to do to get on that level that it wants to be at. And I think that's definitely something to think about, is if they want to keep that model or switch to something else. There's plenty of money floating around that they could certainly make some changes, but yeah, just another one of those things that we'll see where it goes.
What do you want to hear from Larry Berg today, starting at noon?
I feel like I'm just saying the same thing over, but I want to hear him talk about media. I want to hear him talk about like what his priorities are going into that deal, like what he's focused on. Is he going for just money at all costs, as much money as possible, or is he going for our viewership is not great because we are not transparent with numbers right now, and we need to be able to like be more accessible to people and not be behind one paywall or two paywalls, you know? Is he going to talk about, you know, like what is most important for him going into this? Is it aligning with a major network? Is it, you know, there were obviously priorities that went into the Apple deal, and you can assess how those went, but I'm curious, you know, thinking of the next one. And I don't think it's too soon to be thinking about that and having those conversations, because those get worked out like within the next year or two. And then like that those conversations will happen long before 2029. So I'll be interested about that. I will be interested to hear just like where he I think I kind of want to hear some realness from him. Like, I think that MLS has really kind of pushed this, we'll take it from here, you know, campaign. And I want to know how. Like, what are you going to do? Like, what are you doing to actually like appeal to fans, to grow your fan base, to like what smart business decisions are you making to like to even things out, you know, among cities? You know, like you saw what the World Cup was, and obviously a missed opportunity to not start, you know, into the fall to spring now, but like what other things are you able to do that can kind of like build off of that momentum, concrete ways. I don't want to hear, you know, like you hear so much of like, oh, and everybody cares about soccer and the momentum and it's also great. Like, what are you going to do?
You don't want platitudes. You want actual facts and activity.
I just want to know what he's going to do. Like, he gave all these presentations that clearly like have thoughts about him and think he has a clear vision. Like, what is your vision, and how is it going to be different from what the last 30 years under Don Garber were? So that's what I hope to hear, is some concrete ways that he is going to take this league in a different direction, or grow on whatever he's going to do. I don't want this just everything's so great.
You don't want boilerplate sound bites where you sit there and you're raising your eyebrow going, okay, I could have just stamped and done the soundbite flow chart.
Well, that's part of what being a commissioner is you take the tough questions and you can handle them. I mean, you see Roger Goodell when he sits down, he's just taking things like from left and right, all different topics, and like that's just part of it. If you want to be considered a top league, you got to be ready to like answer and face the tough questions. And so I like want him to off the bat like show that he can do that, is my thought. Yeah.
All right, so noon is when the event is supposed to begin at 2 Penn Plaza, and I imagine there might be maybe something I don't know, hot tea-ish, because you're trying to avoid the caffeine thing. So whatever you're trying to do out the door there at front office to get you toward 2 Penn Plaza. How long of a commute is that from where you are to 2 Penn?
It's like a 10-15 minute walk.
It's not too bad. Okay.
Yeah, we have a few people going over. Some of our video people are going and stuff. So we'll have a little crew. So that'll be nice.
All right. So as always, Margaret, it's great to see you. Great to have your insights and great to have your intel, especially. And thanks for doing this on the hop, especially with breaking news, developing stories, and all this kind of stuff. May everything stick to the cards. May they not be corrupted. May the laptops all function correctly, and may everything make slot and deadline. You know how to come and visit anytime you want. So if there's anything you want to vent on, shoot, even if it's Toronto and Atlanta and the WNBA, you got a home. It's always good.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Have a great rest of your morning.
You too. Margaret Fleming, front office sports, hanging out with us, and she's like out the door. She literally is like bang, and she's heading to the introductory press conference slated at noon for the doors to open at 11, event to begin at noon, and joining the introductory press conference electronically will be how we do it. Jimmy Haslam, CEO and chair of Haslam Sports Group, co-chair of the MLS Succession Committee. Bennett Rosenthal, lead managing owner of LAFC, which is also where Larry Berg is coming from. Co-chair of the MLS Succession Committee, Don Garber and Larry Berg, set to answer questions once again. Press conference, MLS headquarters, New York City, and that is at noon. I can't thank Margaret enough for doing this and hopping in from the absolute beginning, because it is going to be an interesting day.